and here, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I don't know about you, but I don't know how in the world Linda kept up with... Did you see those verses? You keep practicing and you're going to be able to keep up with my talks. Because there's only about one person in this room that talks faster than that song was, and that's me. I'll do my best to go slow, but I appreciate our music ministry, the signing, the great band. And isn't this environment fantastic? Do you appreciate this environment? It's a pretty cool environment, and we've been spending some time with Greg Braden in here for the last 2 days, and it's been an environment that has been rich. Knowing that Greg Braden, who is a scientist and a spiritual man, all in one big package, made me come up with the talk for today. Science and spirituality as partners. So is anybody in the room offended easily? Hopefully, a minister told me at one point as I was in my training in seminary that if you haven't ticked somebody off at any given point with a talk you've given, then you're not doing your job. So maybe we'll put each other as spiritual people, as left-brain and right-brain people on an edge today. But I want to begin with some levity. And I went looking for a joke to start things off. I couldn't find a joke, so my wife and I were driving down the car and we made a couple jokes up that may or may not be funny. We'll find out. How many religious people does it take to screw in a light bulb? It takes 1,000 of them. It really only takes one person to screw the light bulb in, but it takes 999 other people to tell them there's a better way to find the light. Not bad? Wait, there's more. How many scientists does it take to screw in a light bulb? The same 1,000 people. It only takes one scientist to screw in the light bulb, but it takes 999 other scientists to tell them that their theory of how the power and the source gets to the light bulb is completely wrong and not founded in fact. There's cynics in both the spiritual realm, just embedded, rabid cynics in science and in spirituality. But is there a bridge that can be built? I think the last 2 days clearly indicates that there is a bridge being built. And I want to be part of the movement. I want to be a bridge builder. Instead of accepting that science and religion are mutually exclusive, I want to be a bridge builder that reaches out and finds truth that is germane to both areas. And I found an article in preparation for this weekend by a man named Rafael Espericueta. I took some of his ideas and I'm putting them through my lens. But the basic foundation of this article was an ancient Sanskrit saying. I'm going to have you put that up on the screen right now. This is from the Sanskrit ancient language, the source of Hinduism. Let's say this together as best as you can pronounce it. Satya Nasti Paro Dharma. Basically means there is no religion higher than truth. There is no religion higher than truth. And I think if we're going to build a bridge between science and spirituality, we need to know that both absolutely are seeking truth. Both schools of thinking, both schools of discovery and adventure are seeking the truth. Now, we're not talking about the truth that you were taught, the truth that you learned in your classes or your Sunday school. They said, this is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Memorize your scriptures and spew it back to me. That's not the truth I'm talking about. I'm not even talking about the truth that you have believed for the last 50 years. I'm talking about a deep, sincere quest for verity, for evidence, and for substantiation. So are we open that maybe there's some substantiation that's going to emerge in the next 10 years, that what we have believed spiritually isn't necessarily true? That our mythology isn't necessarily founded in a place of veritable existence, but that there's a new paradigm existing. This is the realm of science. Well, let's explore the word truth. For science, it is looking for the truth underneath the physical universe in all its forms. That's what science does. The physicality of being a human being, we look for the truth that's underlying all human forms. For spirituality, it's the truth concerning how we are related and how we are related to the entire cosmos. But let's make no mistake about it, both science and religion are seeking truth. So in its basic form, I like to simplify things. I'm not quite the great brain that Greg Braden is, but I put things in such that my mind can understand it. Science is looking for truth to enlighten our minds. Spirituality is looking for truth to enlighten our hearts. And unless those two are in partnership, there's a disconnect. There is not a whole. We need to come and approach everything we do on earth and in our religious systems from a holistic environment. And if you are on one side or the other, I would submit to you that you're either living as a half-wit or you're living life half-heartedly. That there must be a consideration that somewhere in the middle is the truth that we are seeking, and we must be humble and vulnerable enough to look to both modalities for the lessons and the good that we are seeking. You know, we all know it. For centuries, science and religion have been pitted against each other as adversaries. They've been called bitter enemies, and we have... Don't you love that picture? Jesus looks really pissed off about this. Albert Einstein's like, can we get this over with? They have been pitted against each other, and certainly we can agree. History doesn't lie. Great minds have been imprisoned. Great scientific minds have been imprisoned. They have been put to death because they challenged the status quo of religious dogma. Plain and simple. So science critique of religion and their mythology is very well founded. But I also believe that it's not a one-way street there. Because I believe that left-brain thinking people must also be open that 21st century spirituality is no longer contextualized by 14th century ignorance. And there's a lot of people walking around the planet that think that we're still teaching a 14th century spirituality. We have transcended that. We've gone to a greater place in our quest for truth. And if you make up your mind because we are a church or a spiritual community that there's no value there, you're living as a half-wit or you're living half-heartedly. And there's something missing from the evolution of the planet because you're not being holistic in your approach to that evolution. Now, let's be clear about it. There is 14th century mentality happening all over Cobb County. I've been there. But if I go into that particular organization, wherever it may be, with a closed system and a closed mind, I'm missing the gift that might be there. Plain and simple. This is not about bashing anybody, but it is about reaching out and seeing that is there some way that we can connect the two. So the question I want to ask you today, has the time come for religion to release its mythology and science to take off the blinders that say that spirituality has no value? My answer is an emphatic yes. The time has come, and we need to be the ones that are leading the way. We're not going to wait for somebody else to do it. So let me speak, and I believe that there are people that would agree with me. People like Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, and Bruce Lipton. But I do believe that Albert Einstein, Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna would agree. Going, wake up, people, what are you doing? There is oneness here. There is possibility here. And you, in fighting for your dogmatic systems, your judgment from the past is clouding the field so that nothing can be built. I'm saying let's clear the clouds, let's clear the field, and let's be the bridge builders, the repairers of the breach, as it says in the Older Testament. Now, let's just get right to it. I believe that religious dogma is the root cause of this divide, plain and simple. When religiously entrenched people claim their doctrine and their scripture as the ultimate, absolute, and only reality, and not merely mankind's attempt to describe reality, we're in danger. When I begin to say that my system, my belief system, is the only way, whether it be in the Orthodox Christian Church or it be in an Islamic church, mosque, or it be at Unity North, oh, my way's better than your way, we're in trouble. All religious systems are only pointing to something greater, a greater reality. And when I begin to defend my belief system as the reality itself, we're lost as humanity. Because there's no open field then. From that mindset, any alternate reality, we're not going to talk about alternate facts, but then is then discounted, even if it is founded in concrete evidence, in a laboratory of life, in a laboratory of science, it becomes viewed as a threat immediately, and it is too easily discarded. It is too easily put into a closet as invalid. And there's varying degrees of this invalidation of somebody else's truth. So we're not immune from that. I want us to examine today any part of our system that says we've got a corner on the market of God, of evolution, of life. Any part of that spiritual arrogance that exists in your field, I'm asking you to suspend it and to let it go and to open up that you might not have a corner on that market. Now, you don't have to look to the battle between science and religion to find this. Religion does a heck of a great job of creating war and destruction and darkness without science even being involved in the equation. We're in a perpetual battle. And if you think we're immune, I hear comments that about Baptists here. I hear comments about Catholics here that make me uncomfortable because we're creating a system of duality. I'm saying invite them into your heart because there's validity happening in the Catholic Church and the Baptist Church. It may be, yes, and you may consider it to be a complete myth, and it may be a complete myth to you. But let me tell you, a whole lot of good comes through the Catholic Church, even with all of the things that are happening that we can question. There's still good there. Here in East Cobb, I have a problem with some of my Baptist friends. But until we can sit at the table and recognize that there's an open system between us, and some will do that and some will not. But it's not my place to judge those who don't want to sit down and have a dialogue. It is my place to remain the open system. But we live in an environment that basically is saying, my God can beat up your God. It's middle school all over again. My dad can beat up your dad. He's tougher than that. But we're playing that at an adult level, but a much more dangerous level. My God's better than yours, which basically is saying my dogma is better than yours, which at the end of the day is basically saying my myth is more believable than your myth. My mythology is more valid than your mythology. We have a real problem when religious people claim that they're beautiful. Yes, beautiful, instructive, intuitive, and inspired scriptures are unquestionable and absolute. Let me put on the scientific mind for a while. Scientists will tell you that we've never reached the absolute, that it is unreachable. Because scientists live in an idea that there's this eternal, unquenchable thirst for truth that is guiding the ship, and truth is ever expanding. And they look at religious systems that said, we found the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. God quit speaking to humanity. So they are dialoguing there and critiquing religious systems at that place. But let me tell you, the bridge has to be built on both sides. Because if you're on a ship that's on an unquenchable thirst for the next truth, the next truth, the next truth, you never reach the harbor. You never reach the destination. You're never satisfied. And you make a life out of questioning everybody. You make a life out of questioning somebody's spiritual theology that may be complete myth to you, but it has changed their life. How dare you be arrogant enough to say your belief system is invalid? I have Christian friends that I will never find religious belief system equality in that belief system. But let me tell you, their religious belief system has contextualized a life that is more kind, more loving, and more compassionate. Who am I to devalue that path in any way, shape, or form, whether I know it to be fable or reality, whether I know it to be fact or fiction, is insignificant. To build a bridge, I need to have some compassion and understand that maybe, just maybe, mythology has some value. And if we look at our history with all of the dotted landscape of the difficulty of religion, there's a heck of a lot of mythology that has brought us to the point where life is a way better place than it would have been without the mythology. Let us look at that and embrace it, and at least be willing to open a corner of our mind that there's some good there. And then take a moment to reach the destination in the harbor and just breathe. Here I am in this moment before I'm setting sail for the next truth. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You go over here, it's a perpetual state of everybody else is wrong, and you never find the truth. Left-brain people, I have friends that giddily love to knock down spiritual theories. And they almost get a grin on their face when they're knocking down a spiritual theory. And these are really brilliant, bright, wonderful people. And they're miserable. Because it's a whole life about knocking down everybody else's truth. So left brain has to come and be a part of the bridge-building experience just as right brain does. The scientist and the spiritual seeker must find the middle ground and come to a greater place. Or they're never going to stop to breathe, and the current thought I'm having may be invalid, but it's bringing goodness. Let me just live in it for a moment. Because sometimes if we stop, we look, and we listen, mythology serves the culture in positive ways. People whose sole purpose it is to disprove past theories will eventually put them in an adversarial relationship with religion. I don't know about you, but I don't enjoy battle. I don't enjoy war. I don't enjoy fight. So perhaps there can be a softening on both sides of this equation, that we remember that we belong to each other and we're both seeking truth. Albert Einstein and Jesus both taught truth. And I believe they would have been great brothers, great friends, and not combated. I believe that's a handshake and not an arm wrestling match that we're looking at. That means leaning towards what I believe a more mystical mindset. That we need to become mystics on both the scientific realm and the spiritual realm. One that will allow us to live in the world of cause, not the world of effects. Science as we know it, religion as we know it, is a world and a realm of effects. And if I know anything about science, and I don't know a lot about science, it is about going to cause. Of course, I do know that science has yet to find the first cause, but that's a whole nother talk. It's all about going to cause. And we as spiritual students, as spiritual seekers, are also about going to cause. We share that in common. If you're living in the world of effects, the ever-changing relative realm of effects, you're in a realm of suffering. Let us come to the place where we go inward and seek both an exoteric and an esoteric truth, both an external one in the world of science and matter, and the esoteric, that which is intuited and brought from the deep realms of spirit that is yet to be measured. Science has shown me clearly that it's a 98% universe. They can't tell you what it is. Dark matter exists. We live in about 2% of what can be measured, of what science can get their hands around. That might mean that there is a little bit of what's happening in churches that is valid, to explore the 98% universe that we don't know how to measure. That means leaning towards exoteric and esoteric explorations as partnerships, that we as one tool, as one energy, as one humanity can begin to predict and eventually discover that which is yet unobserved. That which is yet unobserved. Humanity needs to find the courage, basically, to consider that the doctrine and the indoctrination that we have always held as absolute might not be totally true. Now that said, where is the only laboratory you have to prove your spiritual path in? Let's read this together. A brilliant man wrote this. Let's say it together. Humanity needs to find the courage to consider that the doctrine and indoctrination we have always held as absolute might not be totally true. That's going to take courage. That's going to take humility. That's going to take vulnerability. But we live in a system, the unity system was set up by a founder that said, I reserve the right to change my mind at any moment because my idea of God is forever expanding. My understanding of who I am is forever expanding and growing. We're meant to live in an evolving environment. And if we have shut down the system, whether it be in the Orthodox Christian Church or the Orthodox Unity Church, we're not growing. And so we need to begin to challenge. You see, a spirituality that is not regularly challenged is a spirituality that is dead. We come here to get our questions answered, but if we don't get our answers questioned, it's a dead environment. The only laboratory you have to prove it, you don't have to prove anything to me, is your life. Is your life a better place because of your belief system? How dare I knock that down? If your life and the path you follow, whether I think it is fact, fiction, myth, or otherwise, it's made you kinder, more gentle, more compassionate, more generous, more giving, guess what? It's a good path. Keep following it, but remain open. Keep an open system that maybe my truth and your truth can come together in a great partnership, and there can be greater good for both of us in the exchange of energy. And then when we do that, evolution happens. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu, a great mystic, this is what he says: the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. Say that with me. The Tao that can be spoken, just when you think you have it all together, you realize you don't. Is that a bad thing? I said, that's the most beautiful thing. That's a beautiful demonstration of a growing, evolving spiritual path. I've got the answers, I got the answers, I got the answers, and then life happens and you go, I don't have the answers. Now, that moment of choice is imperative to your spiritual path. You're going to inevitably come to the edge of your understanding and your teaching where all that stuff that you've learned isn't going to serve you. That means something good can evolve. Something more can emerge. Your awareness of God, the awareness of yourself as a divine being is about to be expanded. But what do? We run back to our belief system and we defend it at all costs. Let me defend my dogma, even though internally I think that sometimes the rabid defense of our dogma is because we're so afraid that the house might crumble. So can we look at the people who are defending their dogma with compassionate eyes? They're afraid. And maybe we could be a conduit for change by holding a space of compassion as opposed to a place of judgment. We return judgment for judgment. Guess what? Judgment, 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 judgment. Another war emerges as we fight our dogmatic systems. Let's be the change and say, let me hold compassion. And if that person doesn't want to hear me, I don't need to speak to be compassion. Let me demonstrate. I will be known by my fruits, the master teacher said. You will be known by your fruits. Let the world, let you be a testimony to the compassion that you are without ever speaking a word. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Take a breath. There's a Zen saying that's a little bit more difficult, and I'm going to recognize that this comes from a Zen master and not from a scientist. It says, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. Whoa. If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him? Basically implying that nobody should be so attached to their concepts that they're not open to a new idea, a new possibility. When you have your spiritual path and you hold on to it with courage and strength, that's good. But when it is not an open system, you got to kill that Buddha because the Buddha is an effect. The Buddha is merely an effect pointing to a greater reality. Every religion is nothing more than an effect saying, look this way. A road sign saying, look this way, your greater good is over there. And what the world has done is looked at the hands and the signs saying, that's the reality. What is the quote? Let's put that quote up there, the picture. An ancient Chinese saying. We got the picture up there? About the moon and the finger? I'm about to give you all the finger. An ancient Chinese saying says that when a wise man points his finger to the moon, the fool sees only the finger. And I believe in our religious systems that a whole bunch of wise sages and prophets and teachers have said, look that way. And we went, here's the truth. We have limited God, we have limited our capabilities, we have limited evolving, and we've become a stagnant environment. And I do believe that science, on the other hand, is also pointing at the finger. Look this way, Jesus said, and they go, invalid, invalid. They're spending all their time in the validity or invalidity of the finger. And the reality is, if science was able to look at where Jesus was pointing, where Buddha was pointing, where Krishna was pointing, there's a greater reality. And I need to open my mind to go, wow, maybe spirituality has something to teach me. There was a neuropsychiatrist, Monte Bushman, who was asked, and I just love this. This is a quote from the article that I referenced at the beginning. Asked the difference between delusional thoughts of schizophrenics and religious fanatics. This is what he said. Schizophrenics are alone in their delusions, while in the case of religion, there are many members, all sharing the same delusional belief. Soak that in for a second. That's why I love being in a unity environment, because you all think way different than I do. So on behalf of great thinkers like Copernicus, Galileo, Bacon, let me submit that Orthodox religion as we know it today is a cult. I am so tired of unity being called a cult. We are the antithesis of a cult because we say think. Think for yourself. Just like the Buddha said, don't take my truth and just spit it back and vomit it up. Go think for yourself. Find the truth of your existence. Find the God of your understanding, and then live it and breathe it, and then be open that it might be a myth that, oh, suddenly there's an evolving. We need to come to that deep, deep place that science has something to teach us and religion has something to teach science. You know, this is a quote from a great scientist, Albert Einstein. I don't know if we have, do we have that quote up there? Can you read that all right? Let's read it together. The most beautiful and profound emotion we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. To know that which is impenetrable to us really exists, manifesting itself as the highest wisdom and the most radiant beauty, with our dull faculties can comprehend only in their primitive forms. This knowledge, this feeling is at the center of true religion. So the softening happens from the religious part, but it must also happen from the scientific place. That 21st century mysticism and spirituality might have something to inform new science. There might be something great to learn from there. And so I have to ask the scientists in the room, has your rabid desire for proof, has your innate need to have proof stopped you from hearing the very music of your soul? Because you're not going to necessarily hear that music in a laboratory where there is irrefutable proof. You got to hear the music within, and that's becoming a mystic. All great discoveries, scientific and otherwise, came from somebody's belief, a deep faith within that there was something that wanted to happen here. Listening to the music first as a great mystical mind, and then putting it in the laboratory to prove it, not disprove it. So perhaps as great left-brain scientists in the room, we can quit being so proud of, my job is to just simply disprove, and to work on the positive side to maybe prove that that which is singing within me, that which is stirring within me, has some validity. Let me go into the laboratory to try and prove that, and to talk about that. It makes for a much better bridge. It makes for a much better unity and connection. Three different scientific endeavors that I believe also are usable in the spiritual path. Three different ways that I believe we can build this bridge, and they become the girders of the partnership. They are great faith, great doubt, and great determination. There's a slide up there somewhere that says that, I'm sure. There it is. If you want an informed spirituality, it must contain great faith, great doubt, and great determination. If you want informed science, it has to have great faith, great doubt, and great determination. Let's explore that. Number one, great faith. That's the realm. We live in there, don't we? That's spirituality right there. It is a trust in the process of life of a source as demonstrated and taught by those who have gone before us, as well as a trust in one's own capability to see the essential nature of reality for oneself. There, the mystical mindset comes in. My spirituality must be contextualized by my own inner knowing and not what somebody told me. So I become a mystic. For science, now that doesn't make sense. Scientists as faithful? In the realm of science, great faith refers to a trust in scientific methodology. Scientists have to have faith in what they have been taught to get to the moment of their experiment. And it is applied by scientists of the past, as well as a faithful belief in one's inherent ability to digest the new phenomena. I believe we as religious students could learn from that one. Let me digest the new phenomena, the new information when it comes in. But I believe that we have a shared value there. Faith is a shared value between science and religion. Let's go to number two. This is the realm of science. They love to live in the place of great doubt, don't they? In science, great doubt is based on a realization that the model is never the reality. It's not about the finger. Pointing to something greater. Attachment to a certain hypothesis will prevent one from arriving at a better one. Plain and simple. Now, is it possible in our spiritual tradition here, is it possible, does it make any sense to have great faith and great doubt in the same field? Can your spirituality be contextualized by great faith and great doubt? Or are they mutually exclusive? What do you think? I say that if you don't have great faith and great doubt in your spirituality, it is a dead environment. And you've basically become the Dead Sea. Nothing in, nothing out. I've made up my mind. This is the truth, and the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We're done talking. And I become a closed system. Again, is it about the finger, or is it about where the finger is pointing? Religious practice, scriptures, and beliefs, as well as scientific theories, are merely fingers and not the ultimate reality. Number 3, great determination. I think we can find great agreement here. In the realm of science, my friends who were scientists are really okay with failing. They thrive on failing. Every failure is one step closer to success. Every failure is one step closer to proving the theory that they have faith in that can be proven. I believe we could learn a lot from that. I have people come to me in my office and say, you know, I tried meditation for 2 days. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Oh, I prayed. I did it for a week, and it just doesn't work. Or I came to your service, and I came one time, and I didn't like it, and it just doesn't work for me. I guess I'm more of a scientist than a religious person. Closed system. Warning, Will Robinson. You've got a closed system. Let's open the field that is between our ears. Let's open the field, as Greg Braden talked about, the intelligence of the heart that must be in partnership, and open the field a little bit. So mystics have always, great mystics have always challenged spiritual laziness, without exception. Every great master and teacher has challenged their spiritually lazy. Jesus said to his apostles, can't you stay awake? Can't you stay awake for 2 minutes? He's getting ready to walk into the test of his life. And his apostles all go to sleep. What a great teaching for us. Stay awake. Stay awake. Let great determination be a part of your spiritual path and confront any stagnation that exists within the field of you and your belief system. I believe that we, as a human race, everybody sitting here today, is the universe becoming aware of itself. I think science would agree. My friends who are scientists would agree. The universe is just becoming aware. And we as spiritual beings are becoming aware of the one, which is expressing at the point of us. And that awareness is a growing, expanding, and living reality where I absolutely, emphatically stand that both proven and yet unproven concepts must be entertained. I want you to hear that. Proven and yet unproven concepts must be entertained. And if you can't entertain either side of that equation, you're a closed system. You are the Dead Sea. There's more life, there is more love, there is more energy, there is more God, there is more spirit to discover, and I want desperately for you to discover it with me. But both your left brain and your right brain. Through scientific method and through prayer and meditation and stillness. Science and spirituality as partners is going to take us on a great mystical adventure if we are willing to let go of our dogmas, our mythologies, our theories, and remember, as we started, Satya Nasti Paro Dharma. Let's say that, put that up there for me, please. Together, Satya Nasti Paro Dharma. There is no religion higher than truth. Let truth be your religion. We have a good friend that I have made over the last year who's doing exactly what I'm talking about today. Robin Reeves Oppenheim is leading an experiment, a study for teenagers to bring spirituality into a very scientific environment to prove new concepts and new ideas. And I asked her to come and to just give us a little exercise, a little taste of what she's doing. And I invite you to suspend either left or right brain judgment to come into the place of a holistic approach to our spirituality. Will you please welcome Robin Reeves Oppenheim.
Hi, everybody. So I was very, very blessed to be able to participate with Greg Braden yesterday. And many of you, I think, were there. And he was a great prelude to my research because a lot of the science that he talked to you about in terms of the science of the heart and the heart field is the science behind my study as well. And he led everybody through a beautiful, beautiful heart-focused meditation, heart-focused exercise with breathing, coordinating your heart and the rhythm of your heart and your brain, which he called heart-brain harmony, and heart math calls it coherence, and it's the thing that lets our whole system relax and feel safe, and that is part of my study. I am partnering also with Heart Math as far as their teen exercises for heart-brain coherence. So that's one thing. Now, I just got finished talking to the teens, and I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked to them. How many states of matter are there? How many? Does anybody know? How many? Ha-ha, right. That's what I was taught. In the old paradigm, in the old science, we were taught 3 states of matter. There's solid, there's liquid, and there's gas. But you know, the new science, the quantum physics, we learn about fractals, and we learned about particles being waves and particles at the same time, and string theory and all of that. We also know there's a field, okay? So now the kids, all the kids knew. I said, how many states of matter? They all said 4. I said, what are they? They all said plasma. So they know about plasma. Now, what is plasma? Plasma is our electromagnetic field. And the old science is a microbiological model, and it's a very rational model. But the new humanity, we are moving in to the age of intuition, to the age of energy. And you know, I can prove it really easily. How many in this room have a cell phone? A computer, the internet, texting? That's all electromagnetic energy. Well, we have it in our body too. And my study, which is a very long name, The Effects of Biointrinsic Transformational Therapy on Depression and Anxiety in Teens, what it means is using our whole system to shift emotions. And anyone who participated in the heart-focused breathing knows that that's the first step. And Greg said that is the first step in. My study gives 3 steps. We start with the heart-focused breathing that gets your system in coherence. Then we go to powering up, which is learning to become aware of our plasma, our electromagnetic field. And then the last is the relaxation and guided imagery, which is healing light. And anybody who knows anything about brain science and mirror neurons will know that the brain, that if you imagine it, it's real. And healing light is a way for us to heal ourselves. When we get into that state of awareness and we get coherent with our heart and we get really relaxed and we connect with our field and we ask for what we need for our healing today, we bring in the colors, the frequencies that will heal us.
This is happening at Unity North. This study
is happening here. And I need teens to join me, and I need their paperwork by the end of September because we're going to start this study in October. And it is 4 90-minute group sessions. And Group A and Group B both will get the exact same thing, but they will be randomly assigned because it's science.
And so, Robin, what is the cost of all this great information?
The cost is 0. Well, and the benefit is that they learn these life-changing strategies, and then they get the handout and my. Anyway, let me just show you. For those who don't believe that we are electromagnetic beings, let me get just a few people to come up and make a little circle. I'm going to show you.
Come on, don't be a chicken.
This is
Open your mind.
This is a science experiment. You can find it on Amazon. And it is called a UFO ball.
Okay, no more. That's enough. We can
Okay.
only handle so many open-minded people at one time.
I'm going to show you. If I put my hand, it's got two little electrical strips. If I put my finger on one, nothing happens. Okay. I'm an electrical being. If I put my finger on it, I'm making a circuit, right? But let me show you something. So go ahead and everybody join hands and
act like you like each other.
Yeah, except for, well, no, wait, I have to be in here. Hang on. Okay. So we're going to hold hands, and you're going to put your finger on the strip. There we go. Now somebody drop the hand. There you go. Oh my God. Now do it again. Somebody else. See how we're all connected?
So the finger is important, I suppose.
The finger is important. Thank you. I'm also going to ask for one person who's going to play with me, and I'm going to show you how you can actually see without visually seeing your electromagnetic field. Okay. All right, great. So we are connected, and our fields interact with each other. And our fields usually extend about 3 feet in front of us, but we have control. We can expand our field, and we can contract our field. And expanding is a good thing sometimes, but if you're in a grocery store, if you're in an airport, if you're in a place where your field is really, really open and you're receiving all of the information from everybody else, that can cause anxiety. And a lot of people who have social anxiety and don't like to be in places with lots of people, this is one of the problems they have. They do not know how to bring their field in and protect themselves from the input. We are all of us are transmitters. We're all of us receivers, like big radio stations, you know. And we have to learn to manage that. And we can. And look how easy it is. You don't have to do anything much. So I'm going to show you. Hang on. So this is a hanger, a coat hanger. And these
No more wire hangers.
is a coat hanger, straw and coat hanger. And you see how crazy it's all going? They're going because metal responds to electromagnetic energy, magnets and electricity and all that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you stand back a little bit. Stand back. Nope. No.
God loves you anyway.
And I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to take my energy field out of it. So I'm going to hold my energy field in so that we're just going to measure yours. So now, with your eyes open, just walk slowly towards my hangers. Okay, now walk backwards. Slowly. Go ahead. Walk back. Walk back. Stop. That's the end of your field right there. Okay? And now, with your mind, just imagine that you are filling up this whole room full of your energy, that you're just expanding your field. With your eyes open, 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 open. Look what happens. Now, imagine that you're just bringing it in. You're like wings of an angel. You're just wrapping your energy inside. Look, look, look. See what happens? Okay, there you go. All right? Thank you.
So, Robin is going to be leading here. There's room for 80 teens. Is that correct?
Well, yes. Let me just clarify because
But
80.
clarify quickly, because I got to end the service at
Okay.
12:30.
All right. Let me clarify. I would like a total of 80 teens to participate, but I have a feeling we're going to end up doing, from what I can see so far, we're going to end up doing batches. So if I can get all 80 at once, that's great. The first batch, I want to collect the forms and get people on board for October and November and December, and that will end the end of this month. So on the website, there is a link to the study. If you go to the main website and go down on the bottom on the right, unitynorth.org, on the bottom right, there's a photograph of heart fields, and you link onto my study and you download the forms. And the other way is...
Can they talk to you after the
Yes,
service?
please. And Richard has some of them too. Please talk to me
Yeah,
after.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Robin. I so appreciate it. So, you are a wire hanger. It's either an open or a closed system. I want you to examine during our meditation time, what system are you operating? Is it open to new ideas, to old ideas through a new lens? I'm going to invite Cecilia to come up, and she's going to lead us in meditation, and we're going to sing a song. The song is May All Beings Know Love. And the energy of that affirmation itself, found in a Buddhist tradition, may all beings be happy, may all beings know love, may all beings be peaceful. Let that be the opening vibration that you are bringing into this environment with all that has been shared here